Don't scroll. Just pause for a moment and notice your breath, the subtle rise and fall of your chest, the quiet rhythm that you've ignored your entire life. Because what if this is the first time you are actually aware? You believe you are seeing reality as it is, solid, stable, unquestionable. But what if everything in front of you is not reality itself, but only a translated version of it? Your eyes don't show you truth, they capture life. Your brain doesn't reveal the world, it constructs it. Every color, every sound, every sensation is processed, filtered, and interpreted before it reaches you. That means you have never experienced raw reality, only a version designed inside your mind. Think about that. Your entire life, every memory, every emotion, every decision, built on something you never truly verified. And the most unsettling part, it feels completely normal. You've never questioned it because you were never taught to. The system doesn't want you to stop and ask, is this real? Because the moment you do, everything begins to crack. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are standing at the edge of that crack. From the moment you were born, you were trained to trust your senses. Seeing is believing, they said. This is the world, they told you. But no one explained that what you see is not the world, it's your brain's interpretation of electrical signals. Light enters your eyes, gets converted into neural impulses, and your brain reconstructs an image based on patterns it has learned over time. That means what you call reality is not objective. It is subjective, shaped by your past, your beliefs, and your expectations. Two people can look at the same situation and experience completely different realities, not because the world changed, but because their minds did. This is where the illusion begins. You are not reacting to the world itself, you are reacting to your version of it. Just like watching a movie. You laugh, cry, and feel deeply, even though you know it's just light on a screen. Now imagine if your entire life works the same way. A projection so convincing that you never question it. A story so immersive that you forget you are inside it. That is the lie you were raised in. Not intentionally, but systematically. There was a moment in human history when certain thinkers began to realize that reality might not be as fixed as it appears. That time is not absolute. That space is not rigid. That the observer plays a role in shaping what is observed. This wasn't just a scientific shift. It was a philosophical earthquake. Because if reality is not fixed, then certainty collapses. And if certainty collapses, control becomes fragile. Society depends on stability, on predictable structures, on shared assumptions about what is real. So when an idea emerges that challenges all of that, it doesn't spread easily. It gets simplified, diluted, or ignored. Not because it is wrong, but because it is disruptive. Accepting that reality is flexible means accepting that your beliefs, your identity, and your entire understanding of existence might be incomplete. And most people are not ready for that level of uncertainty. So the idea remains hidden in plain sight, visible, but not truly seen. You believe you are thinking freely, that your choices, your opinions, your desires come from within you. But if you trace them back far enough, you'll begin to notice a pattern. Every belief you hold was influenced by something outside you. Your family, your culture, your environment, the media you consume. You didn't choose your starting point, yet it defines how you see everything. Even your inner voice, the one you trust the most, is built from borrowed language and repeated experiences. This means your thoughts are not purely original. They are conditioned responses shaped over time. You react in ways you don't fully understand, follow paths you never consciously chose, and defend ideas you never deeply examined. It feels like freedom, but it functions like programming. And the more unaware you are of this process, the stronger its control becomes. You are not just living in an external system. You are carrying that system inside your own mind. You constantly feel like you're running out of time, chasing the future, replaying the past, stuck between what was and what could be. But if you look closely, neither the past nor the future actually exist. The past is a memory, a reconstruction that changes every time you recall it. The future is a projection, an imagined scenario based on your current state. The only thing that truly exists is this moment, right now. Yet your mind rarely stays here. It drifts, it escapes, it pulls you away from the only reality you can ever experience. This creates a powerful illusion, the illusion of time as something linear and external. But what if time is not something you move through, but something your mind creates to make sense of change? That would mean most of your stress, your regret, your anxiety is rooted in something that doesn't physically exist, and you've been living inside that illusion your entire life. Look at your daily routine closely. You wake up, reach for your phone, scroll without thinking, consume endless information, rush through tasks, feel tired, sleep, and repeat. It feels normal because everyone around you is doing the same thing. But normal doesn't mean natural. This pattern isn't accidental, it's a perfectly designed loop. A loop that keeps your mind occupied just enough so you never question anything deeply. Every notification, every short video, every piece of content is fighting for one thing, your attention. Because attention is power. The more distracted you are, the less aware you become. And the less aware you are, the easier it is to keep you inside the system. You don't stop to ask why you are doing what you are doing. You don't step back to observe your own life. You just keep moving faster and faster without direction. It's not that you don't have time to think. It's that you've been conditioned not to. Because the moment you truly pause, the illusion starts to weaken. Who are you? At first the answer feels obvious. Your name, your background, your profession, your relationship. But if you strip all of that away, what remains? Everything you use to define yourself comes from the outside. Your name was given to you. Your beliefs were taught to you. Your personality was shaped by experiences you didn't control. Even your goals are often influenced by what society considers valuable. So if all of this was built over time, is it really you, or is it a version of you that was constructed layer by layer? This is where things become uncomfortable. Because if your identity is not fixed, then it can change. And if it can change, then who you think you are right now might not be real at all. It might just be a temporary character you've been playing without realizing it. A role so convincing that you forgot it's a role. And the deeper you identify with it, the harder it becomes to question it. There is something that silently controls most of your decisions, and you rarely notice it. Fear. Not always obvious fear, but subtle, quiet, deeply rooted fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. These fears don't just influence your choices, they limit them. They create invisible boundaries around your life by defining what you believe is possible and what is not. And the most powerful part, these boundaries are not real. They exist only in your mind. But because you feel them so strongly, they might as well be physical walls. You stop yourself before even trying. You stay in situations that don't fulfill you. You silence your own thoughts just to fit in. Fear becomes the mechanism that keeps you small, predictable, and controlled. And as long as you don't question it, it continues to shape your reality from the background. Everything begins to change the moment you start observing instead of reacting. When you step back and watch your thoughts instead of getting lost in them, something strange happens. You realize that your thoughts are not you. They come and go like passing clouds. Some are positive, some are negative, some don't even make sense. But for the first time, you see them from a distance. This creates a gap, a small but powerful space between you and your mind. And in that space, clarity begins to emerge. You start noticing patterns, automatic reactions, hidden beliefs. It's like waking up inside your own life. This awareness doesn't destroy the illusion instantly, but it weakens it. It creates cracks. And through those cracks, you begin to see things as they are, not as they were presented to you. It's subtle, but once it starts, it cannot be undone. Imagine realizing that everything you once considered solid and certain is not as stable as it seems, that the rules you lived by were never absolute, that the boundaries you believed in were never fixed. This realization doesn't feel comfortable at first. It feels disorienting, almost like the ground beneath you is shifting. But at the same time, there is a strange sense of freedom, because if reality is not fixed, then it is not limiting either. It means possibilities are wider than you thought. It means you are not as trapped as you believe. But this perspective is not easy to maintain. The world constantly pulls you back into old patterns, old beliefs, old illusions. That's why most people never stay in this state for long. They catch a glimpse and then return to what feels familiar. Because familiarity, even if false, feels safer than truth. The truth is, most people will never question reality at this level. Not because they can't, but because they don't want to. Awakening is not just about understanding something new. It's about letting go of everything you thought was true. And that process is uncomfortable. It creates doubt, uncertainty, even fear. It forces you to face parts of yourself you've been avoiding. So instead, people choose comfort. They stick to routine, follow the crowd, accept the surface-level version of life because it's easier. It requires less effort, less courage. The illusion is not forced upon them, it is chosen, again and again. And over time, it becomes their entire reality. There are subtle signs that reveal whether you are truly aware or just moving on autopilot. Do you constantly feel distracted, unable to stay present? Do you overthink situations that haven't even happened yet? Do you feel like you're busy all the time, but not truly fulfilled? These are not random experiences. They are indicators. Indicators that your mind is controlling you, rather than the other way around, that you are reacting instead of consciously living. You may appear functional on the outside, but internally there is confusion, noise, and disconnection. These signs are easy to ignore, but once you recognize them, you can't unsee them. Escaping the illusion doesn't require you to leave your life behind. It doesn't require extreme changes or dramatic action. It begins with something much simpler: awareness, being present, questioning your thoughts, not believing everything your mind tells you. When you start doing this consistently, your perception begins to shift. You become less reactive, more conscious. You stop chasing unnecessary distractions. You start seeing patterns that were invisible before. It's not an instant transformation, it's a gradual awakening, a process of peeling back layers one by one, and with each layer you get closer to something real. When you reach a certain level of awareness, life doesn't necessarily become easier, but it becomes clearer. You stop living on autopilot. You make decisions with intention. You understand your fears instead of being controlled by them. You no longer depend on external validation to define your worth. There is a sense of calm, even in chaos, a sense of control, even in uncertainty. You realize that reality is not something you are trapped inside, but something you are constantly shaping through your perception. And that realization changes everything. There comes a moment, not loud, not dramatic, but quiet and deeply unsettling. A moment where you begin to see that the cage you believed in never truly existed. All those limits you accepted, all those boundaries you feared crossing were never physical. They were mental constructs, reinforced over time until they felt real. And when this realization hits, it doesn't feel like freedom at first. It feels like confusion. Because if you were never truly trapped, then why did it feel so real? Why did it control you for so long? The answer is simple but difficult to accept. Because you believed it. You gave it power. And the moment you withdraw that belief, everything starts to dissolve. Not instantly, not completely, but enough for you to see the truth behind it. That you were always standing in an open space, just convinced there were walls around you. From a very early stage, you were guided, not necessarily with bad intentions, but with limitations. You were taught what to focus on, what to ignore, what to believe, and what to question. But interestingly, the most important questions were never encouraged. Questions like, who am I beyond everything I've been told? Or what is reality beyond what I can perceive? Instead, your attention was directed outward toward achievement, expectations, comparison. You were taught how to function, but not how to understand. And over time, this conditioning became invisible. It blended into your personality, your habits, your daily routine. You stopped questioning not because there were no answers, but because you forgot there were questions. And that's how the illusion sustains itself, not by force, but by distraction and conditioning. At the surface level, everything seems clear. Objects feel solid. Events feel certain. Life appears structured. But the deeper you look, the more everything begins to lose its rigidity. What you once thought was fixed starts to feel flexible. What you believed was absolute begins to seem relative. Even your own thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, they don't feel as permanent as they once did. They come and go, shifting constantly. It's like zooming into a picture. The closer you get, the less defined it becomes. And this can feel unsettling because humans crave certainty. We want things to be stable, predictable, understandable. But reality, when examined closely, doesn't behave that way. It becomes fluid, dynamic, almost uncertain. And within that uncertainty lies a strange kind of freedom, the freedom from rigid limits. One of the biggest illusions is the idea that you are separate from the world around you, that you are just an observer, watching life happen from the outside. But if you look closely, you will realize something deeper. Your perception is shaping your experience. The way you interpret events changes how you feel, how you react, and ultimately what you experience. This means reality is not just happening to you. It is happening through you. Your awareness, your focus, your beliefs, they all play a role in constructing your version of the world. Two people can live in the same environment and experience completely different realities. Not because the world changed, but because their perception did. This blurs the line between observer and reality. And once that line disappears, everything you thought you understood starts to shift. Understanding all of this is one thing, but allowing it to change you is something else entirely. Because once you truly see beyond the illusion, you can't unknow it. You can try to ignore it, distract yourself, go back to old patterns, but something inside you remains aware. And that awareness starts influencing everything. The way you think, the way you react, the way you see people, situations, even yourself. Life doesn't necessarily become easier, but it becomes more real, more intentional. You stop chasing things blindly. You stop reacting automatically. You begin to choose. And that is where real power lies. Not in controlling the world, but in understanding your relationship with it. But this transformation only happens if you allow it, if you face it instead of avoiding it. At the end of everything, it comes down to a single choice, not a loud, traumatic decision, but a quiet, internal one. You can take everything you've just realized and slowly forget it. Go back to your routine, your distraction, your привычные pattern. Live the same way you always have, comfortable, predictable, unaware. Or you can do something different. You can pause, observe, question, start seeing your life not as something happening to you, but something you are deeply connected to. The truth is not hidden. It's right in front of you, but it requires awareness to see it, and awareness requires effort. Most people won't choose it, but you are here right now listening to this, which means something inside you is already questioning, already searching. So the real question is, will you ignore it or will you finally wake up?